Want to know how to write 100 stories in a reasonable amount of time? You're in the right place, because I just did that, and I'm going to tell you how I achieve it. And at some point I will also tell you why I'm recording this video in such a wild place. Hi, I'm Nick Hine. I've created this video to celebrate my 100th upload on the channel. Okay, I may be cheating a little bit here, because some of those videos were big compilations of the previously published stories, and some were re-uploads of the edits that went really bad. But I also have quite a few stories that didn't go on the channel, so the quantity 100 should be about right. Another reason for this video, and that was actually the main reason, is that I wanted to connect with my awesome, precious, great audience. I mean, with you. I wanted to connect with you and show that I'm the real person in full flesh and blood. Not some random ChatGPT script that uploading mass-generated AI stuff at the rate like 12 videos per day. I actually know a couple of such channels. So that would be a short trip behind the scenes into my writing world. Sorry, I'm not going to show you around my place. I'm not up to that such level of intimacy yet. That's basically the reason why I'm recording this video here in this wild place, which is actually quite near my house. But I can show you around my writing mind. Those of you who are already subscribed to my channel probably already know that English is not my first language. By the way, if you're not subscribed to my channel, this is your lucky chance. Hit the sub button. But anyway, by this time in this video you already guessed that, right? The language thing means that I'm basically writing all of my stories in my native language and then translating them into the English. It also means, and that actually bothers me a lot, that I'm forced to use the AI narration for majority of my stories to put them into audio format, because I'm not yet ready to let my accent ruin all the vibe for all of my stories. So I'm recently started to self-narrate some of my stories whenever I feel it fits, but it's only working for quite specific characters and quite specific plots, not for all of them. But if you think otherwise, please comment. I will gladly read everything you have to say on the matter. I know that many people hate AI narration, and that's okay. Everybody has a right to pick whatever he wants to. I'm too not fond about the generated voices, but the real voice actors are insanely expensive, at least for me. So I'm trying to somehow navigate my channel through this three-part maze of me sometimes narrating, maybe badly, AI narration, which is like way too generic and probably scare off some of my listeners, some of my audience, and the voice actors whenever I can afford them, but that will be only for few chosen picked stories. That being said, I still appreciate how well you accept it and how many people listen to the gibberish written by me and uploaded to the channel. Just a quick trip into my background and why I came to this point with my writing. I was born in the state that don't exist anymore. That means in the USSR. Actually in the Estonia, which was by then occupied by the USSR. And so it happens that I have an Estonian mother and a Russian father, and the basic language in my family was Russian. So actually that's how I'm writing, that's how I'm thinking. My native language is Russian. I was introduced to reading at the really young age, something about 4 or 5 years old, I can't quite remember. But what I do remember, that one of the first stories that I ever was able to read by myself was the Sci-Fi story. The great short story, A Sound of Thunder, by the great late Ray Bradbury. Probably that defined my life. At least I see it like that. The first story I tried to write somewhere in the 5th grade, probably, I don't remember. And I'm always, all my life, I was trying to write something, some stories, several times I've tried to write a novel, but that was like just flying out a window because I have no idea absolutely how to do that. I also wrote some poetry. Don't be afraid, I'm not gonna put my poetry on this channel. That's kinda not gonna happen. I don't want to lose my audience. When the USSR falls apart, there was a really hard times for me and my family, and the writing kinda was like background thing whenever I was able to do that. For the last 30 years I worked in the really weird places and did some really weird jobs, but mostly it was a rope access, and I really liked that. But you know, we're not getting younger, we're getting older, and that's a job that you can do like at 60. So when I turned 50, I thought that probably if I ever planning to become a writer, or at least try to become a writer, that's the point. I should either do it or just put it on the shelf and forget it. So I did it. I started to write a lot. That was really hard time for me also, because like you have only 24 hours in a day and you need to do the work, to get some time for your family, and you want to eat and sleep, and somewhere in between of all of this you should squeeze some writing. But I managed somehow. I started writing a lot, and then I thought, well, in the modern days the writer can't just write. He also needs to sell his work somehow. And honestly, I'm real bad as a salesman. My marketing skills are, you can call them non-existent. So I was thinking, what should I do? And then I thought that there is such a great thing as YouTube. So I thought, what the heck? Let's give it a try. So I started to figure out how to upload my stories onto the YouTube as an audio. Of course, I checked some other channels. I saw that somebody is already doing it, so it's possible, and they're getting some views. So why shouldn't I? I think my story is great. It's up to you to decide. Write in the comments what you think about them. And another thing that give me the push to do that was the technologies. So here we're coming to some sort of shaky ground, because I know a lot of people, especially in the writing community, and a lot of the people who read a lot, they are like really unsure about all the AI stuff and things. Well, believe me or not, I never used ChatGPT as a writing tool. I tried it, of course, because I was quite interested as a writer, what it can do, what it can't do. So I tinkered with it a little bit around when it was like became a thing, and I must say that I was so disappointed that I honestly don't understand how those channels with the generated stuff can even get any views, because it's so boring, generic, secondary. I don't know how you name it. Anything bad you can say about writing, you can say about ChatGPT, and it's also don't have style, it doesn't have personality, so whatever. All of my stories are written in the old school fashion by me. Like, okay, right now I'm doing it on my laptop, but actually I have something to show you. It's probably maybe weak proof from my side, but I think you will be interested to take a look at how it was done back in times, like in the old good old-fashioned times. Take a look. This is one of my old draft things, and I just put some random stuff from my archive, the stuff that was like written, I think it was all 90s, something like that. And it's, you know, back in times such things existed as a typewriter. So here we go. Yeah, that's actually, I was translating some stuff from the English, and it's like, you see, I'm not sure if you can see it, but that's not all. I also did a really old-fashioned style, you know, like the greatest of the 19th century. Handwritten manuscripts. Yeah, it's kind of nice to take a look at those. Mostly, story-wise, they are all crap. But I get some ideas from those. But putting the ChatGPT aside, By the way, I did quite a prolonged experiment with it recently. I tried to force it to create, if not a full-fledged story, but at least a proper plot for it. And it took me probably, I think, like several hours, or maybe like 12 hours in total, to force some sort of original ideas, some sort of original characters from the ChatGPT, and kind of put it all together. So in the future I could use maybe that idea, put some flesh on it, my own style writing on it, and it will be kind of original story. But you know what? I can do all of that much faster and much better quality. So yeah, ChatGPT is out of question. But on the other hand, putting this ChatGPT nonsense aside, there are still a lot of technologies that helping me, if not with my writing, but definitely with publishing of my stories. First of all, I'm using several programs, some software to translate my stories into the English, and the first draft of my translation is always done by some sort of the software. The thing is, it speeds up the process. Usually it's a quite bad first draft. I still need to do so much edit with this draft, but it's still so much faster than if I start to typing everything myself. And of course I'm using this very controversial thing for the YouTube audiobook niche. I'm using the AI narration. Well, unfortunately I'm still not feeling like sure enough, and I know that some of my audience also wrote to me that kinda your accent limiting your narrations to specific characters, so I'm not going to narrate everything myself. And honestly, it's really hard for me to narrate stories in English. As much I may sound right now like fluently talking, still the good narration is a really hard work, and I really appreciate the work of the professional voice actors. They are the great people. I hope, it's not even the hope, I'm sure that this job will never die out because of the AI narration. And now we are coming to the main question. How can you write so many stories? That actually question that I was asked many times on the channel, and it was bringing suspicion that I'm using some sort of generation, like generative AI to create my stories. How can one person write like 100 stories in okay, maybe some of them was written before, but probably 70 of them was written in the last 2 years. How can single person write so many stuff in such a short amount of time? Well, my first answer will be ask any professional writer. Writers do write things, otherwise they wouldn't be called writers, don't they? And the main thing is like, where do you get all those ideas? And the answer is everywhere, just literally everywhere. Actually, one of my ideas about some sort of post-apocalyptic like action story was born here at this same place. I used to walk around here quite a lot, and that's also one of the reasons why I'm recording this video here, just to illustrate. I will give you a quick look around. How does it look? That's actually an all, I don't know, the sun kind of a little bit messing up, but that's an all artillery battery from, it's about like more than 100 years old, built by the Tsar Russian Empire. So that's it. You can get ideas from everywhere. First of all, from reading other great stories, other great novels from good authors. You're not supposed to like steal ideas from them, but if you read, at least that's how it's worked for me. If I read a really good novel or some really good short story, sci-fi or whatever, I always start to think, what if, how can it be turned just a little bit different way? Or maybe I like this character, maybe I can create something similar to this one, but put them in the totally different situation. It's always like constantly like processing of all the stuff, and sometimes I'm sleeping and seeing some really crazy dreams, and I wake up, and if I still remember them, I wrote them down. And yeah, actually I even have one story. I don't remember if I put it on the channel. I think it's called The Sleep. I will put the link into the description, which was like basically my nightmare written down, well, a little bit expanded by written down. And I even get ideas from music. I think I have already 4 stories based on the music. The first one I wrote, it's a really nice story. I probably will put the link into the description. It's called The Space Shepherds, and it's a band, the like psychedelic space rock from the Ireland, I think, which is called The Space Shepherds. So I was so impressed by the music and by their first album, which is also called The Space Shepherds. So I wrote the story about the Space Shepherds, and it's a really good story. And I have a couple more stories that based on the music, and I have one story upcoming. It's kind of teaser. It's based, first of all, it's based on my already existing universe of the human-Eulerian conflict. It's based on already existed character, Vyacheslav Shamshurin, or Val, some sort of PI in the galaxy, and it's based on the really interesting artist that I found on the internet, on the YouTube, and it's the first track of his album was called The Good, the Bad and the Androids, and that will be the name of the story, and you can already guess which other thing it's based on. So that's it. It's that simple, and also it's that hard, because there is no magic tricks, no magic wand, no some kind of writing spell, and you just need to write. You just need to produce ideas. And you know what? I have so many ideas that my writing can't match it. I have a pile of ideas for the sci-fi and other stories. I also write other stories that don't go on the channel because they are like in the total different genre. And basically I have nothing to say more. Just write. And don't be afraid to put up your stories in front of the audience. Doesn't matter how. You can use YouTube as I went. You can use whatever you can, like social media, any writing platform, whatever. Because if you are writing but nobody is reading, nobody knows about your writing, why do that? You're writing not to like spoil the paper or waste the space on your hard drive. You're writing to be read. The people just want to read the good story or listen to good story or whatever. They don't want the perfect story. In reality, the perfect such thing as a perfect story don't exist. And even trying to make your story better all the time also doesn't work. At some point of life I was taking the drawing classes, and I remember the words of my teacher really well, and I think it can be applied to any art. At some point you can't improve your work. You just start to mess around with it, and probably finally if you will continue, you will mess it up to the state that it will be just done, finished, unusable anymore, unreadable and unlistenable. So just create a good story and put it out to the audience and let the audience decide. Don't worry, if it's bad, you will know. But probably you won't, because if it's your passion, if you truly want to create a good proper story, the good read for at least some of the people, you can't create a good story for everybody, but at least some. Eventually you will know how to do that. And that's, I think, the main point of whole of my video. If it's really your passion, just write things and put it in front of the audience, and you will find it. And you will know how to write. You will write. Just start writing. So that's it. All that is left to do for me is to announce my celebration week for the 100 uploads. There will be a lot of interesting things going on the channel on this week. I will upload a couple of really interesting videos. I will start hopefully to upload my big project, my first big novel that I already written a big chunk of it, and it will be on the channel hopefully by the end of this anniversary week. And I will do other stuff. So stay tuned. I wish you a good day. Bye.